Hello, hello. Yep, all right. We are on stream. We are live. Perfect. All right, so let me go ahead. I'll start the show and go from there. Welcome to episode 366 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Philly Esports. And this is going to be the best episode ever because we have special guest, reoccurring guest, Ben Goldhaber. Did I say that right?
Correct.
All right. I remembered correctly. So we will get to Ben here in just a moment. We also have lots of Valorant VCT Champs wrapped up, if you didn't know. So we'll recap all that. And also, Halo's only been back for about a month, but we already got a slew of drama to get to. So we'll discuss some Halo drama and, of course, e-news to wrap the show up with and yikes of the week. But before we get to that, let me tell you about Philly Esports. Go to phillyesports.gg, and you can sign up for free for all of their events online. Right now, December 18th, you have their 4v4 Call of Duty event, $5,000 prize pool, completely free to sign up, sponsored by the U.S. Army. So go ahead and do that, phillyesports.gg. We can speak from experience. It's very smooth. Very good events. So go check that out, phillyesports.gg.
Hey, this is Mango. You're listening to TSR.
TCR.
TCR?
TCR. The Center Ring.
That's what I said. I did say TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back. Welcome to the Center Ring Esports podcast, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast, presented by Philly Esports, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, December 13th, 2021. The time, 8:40 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter, at the Center Ring. Our Discord and all that fun stuff is in the description there as well. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Last show for the year, dude. You excited?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, bummer that's the last show. Maybe last show forever, because we don't know what's going to happen when the ball drops January 1st. But we'll discuss our end-of-year plans and what to get excited to as we have our award show, the Timmys, coming up. So we'll get to that as well. But let's skip the pleasantries, Anuj, because I talked to you enough. Let's get to our special guest on this episode, CEO of Juked.gg. We've first off been on the show before. We've pimped out the website as much as we can already, just because it makes our lives easier. But let's welcome on Ben Goldhaber, CEO of Juked. How's it going?
Hello. Thanks so much for having me, Tim, Anuj. Congrats on 366 episodes.
Yes.
That's insane. You've done more than a year straight of podcasts. I mean, I know you're not doing it every day. You're doing it like a couple of years, actually. It's a couple of years, but that's quite a milestone. Most people, I feel like, give up after 50 episodes if they make it even that far.
I was going to say 50.
Congratulations.
In the world of esports, I would say 50 is a lot for a podcast outlet. So, and not on just one game. We're like Juked, but a podcast form. We don't just do one esports.
That's right. That's why we're kindred spirits.
That is very true. That is why we need you more than you need us, because you make our show a lot easier to do. That is for sure.
I do love hearing that. Like, industry people, like regular esports fans, like Juked, but industry people need Juked.
I mean, especially the calendar. I know the calendar was one of the big updates like a year ago that definitely made life easier when that came out for us, because it's hard to keep track of. Just every weekend there is multiple events going on, where it felt like just 3-4 years ago you could kind of track an event per weekend that you were following. Now, I mean, it's 3-5 events each weekend and all across different esports, and it's kind of incredible. And that's not usually even counting the Pro-Am series that are going on for most of these games too.
And we literally 2 new tier 1 or tier 2 esports launched this year. Like, Halo has launched. I mean, Halo's been dead. Let's be honest. Halo's been dead for like the last decade for the most part. And then Valorant, of course, obviously, which it just had its Champions event, is now definitely a tier 1 esport. Valorant is now rivaling the size of viewership for Counter-Strike, viewership for CS, for Dota 2. League of Legends still number 1, but all of a sudden we have a literal tier 1 esport, another one. We went from 3 to 4.
Well, we appreciate Overwatch taking a back seat this year to open up some of our talking time on this show, because I don't think we can handle another tier 1 esport at the moment.
I used to consider Overwatch a tier 1 esport.
Yeah, what's
I
funny?
Definitely wouldn't anymore.
No. In a couple of weeks, we started this last year, but we do once a year like our official esports tier list. As far as, we kind of picked the big ones and whatever. I think last year we went through like 15, 20 different esports to pick up what tier they're on. And I think at the time, like we put Overwatch pretty high, but
it was definitely like A-B tier at that time, and Halo was F tier. It's going to be interesting to see the standings this time, because there's definitely been some role reversals here.
And I know you're a big on your Twitter, a big arena shooter, or a big Quake, all that. So you've been pretty lonely as far as esports goes for a while.
Well, that's why I loved Overwatch so much in the early days, because it was modern, it was fresh, it was team-based, it was popular, but it also has elements of an arena shooter, obviously, with characters like Pharah and just a lot of movement mechanics and a lot of projectile rockets and things like that. So that's why I loved Overwatch, and that's why I'm sad now. Because don't get me wrong, I was glued to my monitor watching Valorant Champions last weekend just constantly. I haven't watched that much of an esport event in a long time. Like, I watched basically everything from the quarterfinals on. I watched almost every match. But yeah, it's not my game. When I play Counter-Strike or I play Valorant, I feel like I'm swimming through like molasses. I'm like, I want to jump around like a maniac. That's what I want.
You want to jump around like you see them playing.
Well, yeah, but the movement mechanics are very limited in scope. I'll say that.
Yeah,
but I still love it. It's still great.
Do you think, this is kind of an off question now, do you think arena shooters will ever make a true comeback?
I mean,
because we've had several attempts at it.
Yeah,
it's not like there haven't been new games in the past 5-7 years in the arena shooter realm. Do you think it can make a comeback, a proper comeback?
I think not in a form that we would recognize. I like Diabolical 2 Good's game is phenomenal. Like, the engine is beautiful. Like, the gameplay is really solid. It's Quake with like a dash jump and like ability and these weebles, which are like kind of another. It's all good, and there's like this map making mode, but the game just flopped harder than you could possibly have ever predicted. I mean, even if you're a pessimist, the game just completely flopped on launch. So I don't think arena shooters will ever come back in the format that we know them. But I think skill-based, movement-based shooters are, there's still a lot of potential for first-person, skill-based, movement-based. It might be like the next evolution, right? It might be a battle royale that has more movement mechanics and more arena-style gameplay potentially. But no, I hate to say it. I still to this day, nothing ever will come close to watching Quake at the highest level for me. StarCraft 2, amazing. Smash Bros, especially Melee, amazing at the highest level. But like, when I watch Cooler versus Rafa, my breath, like, I can't breathe. That's how like close and invested I am to it. So I miss it, but it's not coming back anytime soon.
What's your go-to right now for gaming?
All Apex, pretty much all Apex.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, us like.
It's kind of funny because that's when you mentioned BR and arena shooters, I was like, well, that's kind of as close as you're going to get when it comes to BR anyways.
Yeah, us rejects who played all like the kind of arena shooters and all the less popular shooters like Enemy Territory, Dirty Bomb, Quake Wars, Tribes, Quake. A lot of us have just gravitated towards Apex because it does have that like high skill ceiling movement abilities, and is just really fast. So yeah, no surprise. I play Valkyrie when I play Apex. It's not like it's like skillful jetpack movement, but
it's still cool. It kind of gives you that
scratches that itch a little bit.
Yeah.
No, and I'm a sucker for arena too, because it's like I grew up playing Unreal Tournament and things like that. I just think, oddly enough, the fast-paced arena shooters are for the boomers, which you'd think it would be like for these, G-fueled up kids nowadays, but they don't like it. They like the BRs, as we've seen with Halo, and it drives me nuts, but the battle passes, right? Like, people are like, man, you know what? Halo is an amazing game. It feels great, but the battle pass sucks. Therefore, I wouldn't recommend it. And it's just like, that just blows my mind, right? Where it's like, so you love the game, but you're not playing it because the battle pass doesn't give you enough free stuff. Like, I feel like I'm a boomer, like, with that opinion, but it's where we're at.
See, back in our day, Tim, you just downloaded a skin on the internet.
Right, that's it.
That was it.
That some kid made.
Put
it
was
a horrible skin, and it didn't look good, but you did it anyway.
Put into the source files, and you're done.
If you saw my Counter-Strike game back in 1.3, 1.4, you wouldn't recognize what the hell I was playing. Everybody had a unique skin. I had crazy guns everywhere. Those were the days when that stuff was free.
So, obviously, we can talk esports to death. Let's get Juked out of the way, because the last time you were on, you guys were very young, I would say. I mean, you guys were around, but it was very young. Hey, we're the website that you can watch, you automatically pull. It's not your normal, I don't know what you would call it, multi-Twitch viewing website where you punch in the channels you want to watch. You guys are esports, and you can go there and see all the top esports going on at one time. Now you have a lot going on. You have an app coming out. Our listeners, as they probably are already aware, but you can sign up for the alpha if you're an Apple user. So Androids, pump the brakes. It's coming, as I'm told. But
you can still sign up. You can still sign up. Please sign up still. You just can't get the app yet. So, but do sign up, because we'll invite all of the Android users that have signed up as soon as we can, which should be in about 2 to 3 months.
So how is that going then?
Is it the end of Q1?
Is it different? Just from like a learning standpoint, like developing an app compared to a website? Because you were even early on with Twitch, so it's like you're kind of used to the website stuff.
Yeah. The app is completely different in the focus than the website. You correctly referred to the website. At least the first versions of the website, it was trying to be the place to go to watch and follow every esport. So scores, news, brackets, standings, streams, VODs, schedules, all in one place. That is juked.gg, our website. Our new mobile app is a social network for esports fans. It still retains all of that same utility. So you're getting push notifications when your favorite teams are playing. You're able to find all the news based on whatever games or leagues or tournaments or teams you're following. All that stuff is still in there, but the focus now is, instead of just kind of one directional, just like, hey, I'm using Juked to stay on top of the news or find out where the tournaments are happening or find the brackets. I'm using Juked because I'm doing that. And by the way, I'm having a conversation with another esports fan who's just like me, who cares like I do, who wants to go deeper than just some random person on Twitch chat, right? Like, we've all kind of gotten to the point where we just hide Twitch chat at this point.
You kind of never,
yeah. Like, a lot, we hear that all the time. This is one of the reasons we decided to do Juked as a social network, is because we just kept hearing over and over and over again, I don't even look at Twitch chat anymore. I don't even post on Reddit anymore. I don't even tweet anymore. A lot of esports fans were telling us, because they're afraid of like the negative kind of negativity, like people jumping down their throat for wrong opinions or whatever. So we're trying to create a place that elevates the level of discussion so that you can have real communication with fans who really give a shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. I apologize.
You're fine. No, you're good.
And try and root out some of the toxicity and negativity that is just so prevalent on existing social media channels. So that's what we're doing.
So I saw something from you guys, and forgive me because I don't know when it was, but it was on how to potentially eliminate toxicity within the esports world. Am I correct in saying this? Because if I'm wrong, just stop me there. But I felt like y'all were trying to find an approach on how to combat that.
Yeah.
What kind of came of that?
Yeah, I mean, we're still at step 1, right? We're nowhere near to that vision, and it's impossible. Like that's an impossible vision. There's no way to eliminate toxicity. But if we can create a safer place for esports discussion and news and community, and in a more inclusive place, then I think we'll have done a pretty important thing. Right now, you know, everyone knows like 50% of gamers are women, but 17% of esports fans are women in the US. There's a huge gap. And I think esports for a long time has been very masculine, very toxic in a lot of ways, very sexist, and not very open to, you know, women and minorities. And, you know, that's a big problem. As someone who's in the industry, that's a big problem for our industry. So I think we need to solve it. And we're hoping to solve it. And in terms of the solution, there's so much that we are working on right now, from integrating just the basic level of integrating a content policy that's super clear and working with people who are very smart, lots of PhDs, to help us define like what harassment is, what hate speech is, what moderation policy should be. That's step 1. Step 2 on our app, we're actually requiring you to log in with a phone number, which some people are like, ooh, scary, but like actually it's super common now.
Right.
Clubhouse did it. Lots of new apps actually just you log in with your phone. It's actually easier to create an account with your phone number than it is to put in your email, verify your password twice, you know, click the link, then you have a phone number. You just put your phone number in, you get a code, and you have an account. So those are the things that we're doing today. In the long-term vision, there's a lot more secret sauce that we're working on, from AI-based moderation to kind of incentivizing positive content and positive social interactions. But yeah, we're nowhere near a solution at this point. We're just getting started.
So
do you ever?
I was gonna say, because on the topic of, because we talk about this all the time on the show, like the toxicity and all, you know, all this in esports, because you see it happen all the time, and the news story will pop up where in this scene something happens. And just recently we talked about it last episode with the how Machine stopped down booing at whatever Counter-Strike event it was. And I do think that there's a line, right? Obviously with toxic, like you said, hate speech and being sexist and racist, like obviously all that, there's no place for it. But do you think there's a place for friendly competitive banter? Like as far as like booing the away team and having fun in that sense?
I'll do one further than that. I don't think you need to even be friendly with your competitive banter. I think the would Valorant viewership be where it is today if G2 and Sentinels weren't talking shit? Would Valorant be where it is today if TSM and Sentinels didn't have that rivalry that was spurred and egged on with tweet after tweet after tweet? Say what you will, like some of the stuff that Zoms was saying during the Champions, very very on the edge. Right. Like if there's a edge,
I do think he was poking. He was poking a little bit though. Like I think he was purposely walking the line to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if he was on the right side of the line, to be honest. It may have been too far, but I loved all the stuff before that. All the stuff before that, great, and helps the scene grow for sure.
Because then you have the opposite scale where I felt, and we've talked about it on the show too, where the Overwatch League, their fan base and the teams were, I thought, too friendly. Like you couldn't. I remember one time here in Dallas, it was the homestand, and the Fuel fans were booing Houston, and then there was like some fan who got on Twitter, a popular fan, large following, saying how she just thought it was disgusting how the Dallas fans were booing the Houston players. I'm like, what world? I don't want to live in a world where I have to not boo Houston living in Dallas. Like that's just part of it, right? You're in California. Like LA teams are going to not like the other LA teams. That's just, I think it's a crossover between traditional sports and esports, which is just like you said, obviously there's always a line, but it's also fun. Like have fun with it.
Yeah.
Now, how are you enjoying Halo right now? That's obviously the new dog on the scene, and they're kind of, I think, taken it by storm from what it feels like, at least the sense that I get. What are your thoughts on how it's kind of started off for them?
I mean, as an esports fan, I'm probably kind of like you guys in that I'm an esports fan. I'm not a one game fan or the other game fan or even a 2 or 3 game fan. I'm a fan when esports wins. I am happy. And I know how hard it's been to be a Halo fan for the last like 10 years or so, with games that nobody liked, just esports grand finals of esports tournaments getting like 3,000 concurrent viewers. Like it was bad, like really, really bad for the viewership and the interest in Halo. To see Halo come out and the game is great. It's free to play multiplayer on Steam. Like when I heard it was free to play multiplayer, I'm like, okay, I'll have to just pop up my Xbox app. No, it's on Steam.
Yeah.
The people loving the game on Steam. Esports leagues that's very open and inclusive with lots of open tournaments. Exciting. You know, we don't have enough of that in esports in 2021. In-game skins selling like hotcakes. Like the day they came out, I saw them in my servers. So that's great. Exposure, money, all of that's going for the teams and the players. So I'm extremely, extremely excited to see Halo starting off as strong as it is. It's another game that's not really for me. Like when I'm playing Halo, that's like if Counter-Strike's molasses, Halo's like, I don't know, I'm swimming through like quicksand or something. It's just like you fly through the air, you go woo.
But I'm the same way with Halo. I've enjoyed playing it so far, but I'm having a hard time making the adjustment from the games. I've never been a console player, so I never grew up playing Halo like
me
a
neither.
majority of my friends did. So I'm finding it like a really tough transition to like understand the physics behind the game, because it's not the typical speed that I'm used to playing a first person shooter at.
Halo was my jam. That was in the wheelhouse, you know, of my age and friends playing. We were console plebs to begin with and went away, played PC, but I'm slowly getting back into it, going from, like, I have, like, an internal struggle right now. Like, I want to play mouse and keyboard, but I just know the game plays better. It's meant to be on a controller with the aim assist and whatnot. And now I feel like it's like the dumbest. Like I talked to my wife about it, and she doesn't give a shit. But she's like, I don't care. I'm like, you don't understand. I feel like I'm betraying my PC friends by using a controller. Like my mouse and keyboard, they've been my babies for so long. Like I don't want to use a controller, but here we are. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I never played any FPS with controller. I've been mouse and keyboard and basically PC guy for life. So don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying Halo with friends. Probably just not the long-term game for me.
Yeah,
but I'm stoked to see it doing well.
Now I see Juke has been teasing some fun stuff coming up here for Halo. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, no.
What you can tell us, can you share with us what is how is Juke, working with Halo? Is there some fun stuff coming out that we should look forward to?
So when we launched the Juked app, I like, it's in my DNA to love every esport, and I want to share the love with every esport. But when we launched the app, we actually made a purposeful decision to pare back to just 4 games. So we started with Valorant, CS:GO, Call of Duty, and Overwatch. We basically, with the hypothesis of let's focus on a specific vertical and see if we can really support that vertical, get critical mass with first-person shooter fans, and grow from there before we try and support every single game at the same time. Since it's a social network, so you have to have other people to talk to, otherwise it doesn't really work. But I swear, all of our users were excited about Halo. They're all talking about it. They all wanted to see it on Juked, and so I'm excited to announce that we are going to be supporting Halo in time for Rally this weekend. We're going to be launching our Halo support this week, and we've barely teased it. We haven't officially announced it yet. So if you're listening to this on, what day is it? Monday. You are one of the first to hear about it. But yeah, we are officially going to be adding Halo as a game on the Juked app, and including esports schedules, scores, news, tournament information, team information, leading into rallies, so that you can follow your favorite teams throughout the tournament on Juked.
That's super exciting, because Halo really has shown me kind of what I see in COD. Like COD has that community sense, although they go at each other's throats, like they are a very close knit community, it feels like at the end of the day. And I get that same sense from Halo, like just kind of introducing myself into the Halo world. I'm like, man, the people that enjoy the Halo esports side really truly are invested in the teams, the players. Maybe it helps that a lot of the players are players from Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 5. Like there is a lot of carryover to Infinite, so the big names are all there. But I'm seeing so much excitement around Halo and especially the upcoming major that I think that's an awesome addition for you guys to add them in there because I do think it's well deserved. And it's kind of time that Halo kind of gets its time in the spotlight, right? They, like you said, they haven't had that for the last 10 years, and it really looks like they took off running here, and that's exciting to hear. Definitely exciting to hear.
And by the way, this is a complete tangent, but how freaking crazy is it how like giant FPS has gotten in esports in the last like 5 years? I mean, before CS:GO came out, it was like StarCraft, League of Legends, and Dota 2 were in like fighting games were the biggest esports. And like CS:GO came out and everyone hated it for like 2 years. And eventually it got good. But then what do we have? Valorant, we have Rainbow Six, Halo, Overwatch. It's crazy. It's just it's crazy.
I think that's like a beneficiary. They're beneficiaries of streaming. I feel too, right? Like a lot of these games are very viewer friendly to watch. Like Counter Strike, even if you don't play it, you kind of feel the excitement in the game as you're watching it because it's fairly straightforward. Same thing with Valorant to an extent. The abilities kind of change that, but they're really streamer friendly games too. So I feel like they've drawn in this audience that maybe if you're watching an RTS, you know, I'm a huge RTS fan, but you throw somebody in there that hasn't watched the RTS and you try to explain it to them, it can be a very challenging thing to do. And so I feel like as time has gone on, we've kind of got this two-headed monster. You got FPSs and you got MOBAs, both simplistic at the core, but very intricate as you get more involved in the game. And that makes for also a great viewing experience on both of their ends. But FPSs, man, yeah, I mean, there's really they've really honed in this past year, adding Valorant to the mix. You can see that the sky's the limit, kind of for that genre at the moment.
I'll say this too, and I think it's just from a little bit like I know, like me and all my friends, we really grew up playing FPS, right? So I'm 31 now, so it's like we're kind of in that age demo, I guess, you know, kind of considered older for gaming, but we've seen the influence even trickle down below us now, where even like the younger generations think about like Call of Duty. They get a new Call of Duty every year, and that kind of started right around when I was, you know, 16, 17 years old, right? Or it felt like you had Call of Duty 4 really kicked it off, and then Modern Warfare, and then it was just so on and so forth from there. So I feel like FPS as a genre has just made a bigger push in the sense of marketing and getting games out there, where other games like RTSs especially have just kind of fell off the wagon of looking cool, right? Especially to like the younger gamer. Like you want to feel like a badass playing games. That's like Unreal back in the day, dude. You shot someone with like that lightning sniper, and then you had like the narrator come on there and be like headshot, and it's like you felt like a badass. And as much as I liked StarCraft, it's hard to feel, you can't like get up and pump your chest playing StarCraft, right? And I feel like that is a difference, especially when you're trying to build that younger fan base that's all Adderalled up right now.
Yeah, that's another genre that it's like it's hard to predict if RTS is ever gonna be what it once was. It's so complicated. It takes so long to really start to get a feel for how to play. Whereas first person shooters, you know, every one of them is totally different, but you still have the fundamentals that are completely transferable from one to the other. Yeah, and
RTS
absolutely.
needs the StarCraft game to come out to like, I mean, because Age of Empires 4 just launched not too long ago.
Yeah.
And it's doing fairly well, but it's not tearing up the scene in any way. It's doing what it's supposed to do, and a lot of people have gone back to playing it. But I think StarCraft was always the king there, and until Blizzard decides to kind of reinvest in them, I find it really hard for RTS to really enter the scene in a big way, I guess you could say.
Ah, God, you're just reminded me. I need to try Age of Empires 4. I've been like meaning to for so long.
If you
It's
have
just
Game
been.
Pass, it's free. Heads up for
I do
everyone
have
out
Game
there.
Pass.
So
I need to jump in. I absolutely need to check it out. At this point, though, do you really have any faith that Blizzard's going to make StarCraft 3? At this point, I might as well just throw a dart at board and say like Riot's going to make like the next RTS. They seem to be just winning in every category now.
I don't have a lot of faith right now in Blizzard, unfortunately, to do
Yeah.
anything. So I mean, that's a whole different slew of issues there. But I just feel like their game development in general, take away all the sexual harassment and everything else that's going on with Blizzard, but their games have just really suffered over the past 7-ish plus years. We really haven't had Overwatch was the last big thing, but we've seen how quickly that's died off, right? That's lifespan had a couple of years where it was one of the biggest games. They didn't support it properly, and now that's gone. So I know everyone's waiting for Diablo 4, but that's not really like esports. That's just going to be a big game. But again, with Blizzard, I've just lost so much faith in the past handful of years for them to put out a product that I'm genuinely going to stay excited for in the long run. For
with that note too, though, just on the Blizzard, and I think of Riot and the way esports has gone, and Ben, you can probably speak a lot to this too. Just you talk about how FPS has taken off. I think it's interesting to see how different developers handle esports, and we're seeing more and more of it where I feel like the developers want to kind of control it a little bit more on their side, right? Like, look, Halo, point in case. Back in the day, it was all MLG hosting it, and I mean, hell, competitive Halo was made off of MLG's rule set, right? Halo back in the day had playlists. It wasn't called the ranked list. It was called MLG playlist. Like, that's how Bungie was just like, that's what everyone knows it as. That's what we're going to call it, right? And now you have, like you said, Anuj, Blizzard, kind of every time it's the hype is there, and we even said it on the show, it's like, well, with Blizzard backing it, you know it's at least going to stick around for a while. In fact, I saw a list the other day of like the top 20 or top 10 esports have paid out money, and Heroes of the Storm was still in like the top 15. So like if that just speaks volume to what Blizzard at least tried to do. But I find it interesting how we see more and more developers trying to get fully involved with their leagues, and the interesting contrast of how we see Valve having almost zero involvement, and yet they're still competing with the likes of Riot and Blizzard and holding, their own in esports.
I mean, if you look at the last 12 years, what has been like the primary growth drivers for esports, I mean, Twitch was a huge part of it. That's just the advent of Twitch and just making it easy to consume streams, find streams, and exploding popularity of esports broadcasts. But I mean, the other thing is publisher involvement. I mean, that's been one of the biggest driving. I think it's been the biggest driving force over the last 10 years, and it comes with its downsides, particularly in communities that like Halo, like Call of Duty, like fighting games, where it was all about these kind of local events where everyone just bring your own controller and just lay down on the sticks and fight your way through a giant open bracket. Luckily, Halo is doing that, right? You're still seeing the giant open bracket at Rally, which is awesome. I'm really glad to see that. And by the way, guess who's running it? Esports Engine.
Yeah,
guess who
MLG.
Esports Engine is?
Yeah,
bunch of MLG dudes.
Go figure.
So, yeah, but it makes sense that the publishers, they have the resources to blow esports up, and I feel for independent third-party tournament organizers, and I miss that, actually. Like, I can't tell you how much I miss MLGs of like StarCraft being here and Halo being here and Call of Duty being over there. Or DreamHack still is like taking this mantle into the future. I think they're one of the very few organizations that's even attempting to,
but they're also now starting to also slowly separate like DreamHack versus like their events versus it being a true esports event. Like it's more become a festival versus a kind of how they've done it in past years.
Yeah, I mean, DreamHack, like DreamHack Winter and Summer used to be like two of the biggest esports events of
Yeah.
the year. Now you might have one or two big tournaments, but I mean, I loved having Quake Live and StarCraft 2 and CS Go all at DreamHack like Winter, and just jumping around to all the different stages is incredible. Loved it.
Have you attended a DreamHack recently? I know they're starting to kind of come back up. They just announced Dallas here a couple days ago, so we're excited to get back out there here next year. But have you been to a DreamHack event in a while?
No, it's been ages. No, I saw your tweet that you got a BYOC seat or something.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. Got our group. We're all good to go. It's been what, almost
Nice.
3 years since we've been out there, so really looking forward to that. With Juked, is there any plans to integrate streaming of any sort outside of esports into it, whether it's like streaming esports or something to, I know you talked about the community side, so is there any plans beyond just taking the core esports that you have on there and adding some sort of streaming component to it? And I only ask that because of your background with, obviously, with Twitch and all that. Is there any future plans you think to integrate like a streaming aspect to the site?
I mean, we will allow you to discover and watch esports streams on the platform. It's way less of a focus than it was of the previous product, though. It's it's I think the same problems of discovery still exist. Like Twitch has an esports category, but it's
bad though.
It's everywhere.
It's bad, Ben.
It is. It's god awful.
We actually made fun of it one time on the show because it's like I clicked. I mean, I never click on it, but one time I just thought, oh, you know what? Let me see what Twitch is saying, and like literally, I had them pulled up side by side by you guys, and I was like, this is bad.
Yeah, I mean, I there were some people tweeting about it. Somebody tagged Juked on Twitter, I think like yesterday, because IEM CSGO was happening, and they went to the esports directory on Twitch, and you cannot find it. It's just not there. And somebody's like, just use Juked, bro. And I'm just like, yeah, what he said.
Well, we have been big fans of Juked, honestly, for a long time now. We've followed you guys and try to pimp it out as much as we can. We're really, big advocates for you guys.
Thank you.
So we enjoy what y'all do. We think it's necessary what y'all do, because as big as esports is, there's still areas where we feel left out and kind of on our own when trying to find and discover new things to watch. Because as we mentioned earlier, there's just so much going on every single week, not just weekends. I mean, it's literally throughout the week. You have something you can enjoy on esports. So, for any new listener out there or old listener that has heard this before, it's a one-stop shop for everything you need esports. And now with the added addition to news articles, the calendar, the app, I mean, it's really becoming the go-to for I feel and I hope a lot of people in the esports scene.
Thank you. I really do appreciate the support. It means a lot to myself and the team. And if you're listening to this and any of this sounds interesting, we are alpha testing the app right now. It's still very early. We're not quite done with all the features, but we're looking for people who want to join a community for esports fans, who are sick and tired of kind of just the disjointed, chaotic nature of social media. And that's where esports conversations happen today. It's kind of lame, right? Like, there's no good, pure place for esports discussion. So if that sounds interesting, if you're a real, true, hardcore esports fan and you want to meet other people like you, and you want to go deeper, have better discussions, and of course still get all that utility like push notifications, we are inviting you to sign up now. We're to the point where we're happy with the core product. There's still a lot that we need to finish, but we're happy that we're willing to, not willing, but we're looking to expand our user base and looking to bring in new people into the community. So if any of this resonated, app.juked.gg, app.juked.gg is where you can find more information about our alpha. There's a big register now button right there. So just hit the register button. And, we're iOS only, but if you're iOS or Android, doesn't matter. Register now. And as soon as we're ready to take on more users, or we have the Android app ready, we will be inviting you as soon as we possibly can. if you're iOS, I can't wait to see you on the app. It's been really cool, like really, really cool to see just really positive esports community on Juked so far. People are meeting new people, getting new followers, following new people, discussing esports in a really positive way. It's been super exciting to see the community developing, and we'd love to have you join as part of it. So please do check us out, app.juke.gg, register, and we'll be happy to invite you to the alpha as soon as possible.
And don't be afraid if you're a new fan of esports to go and join in, because it'll also be a good place to just get that information and stay involved and learn a little bit about it. So I mean, if you're new to the esports scene, love to have you on there and be able to hopefully educate a little bit where we can, and introduce you to some of the shenanigans that we're up to around here.
And you guys as podcasters, shill your podcast, like find it. Hopefully you can find an audience. Like this is the audience that is built for you, right?
100%.
They follow multiple games. So if you're a creator in esports, you want to find a new audience, if you want to just meet new people in esports, if you want to just have a better sense of community, then hopefully the Juked app will be awesome for you.
And we're not above pimping out other podcasts on this podcast. Even though we still are the #1 esports podcast, you guys did start your own. What is it, every Friday, I believe, in your Discord?
I was like, what podcast is he going to promote? I forgot that we're doing our own. Yeah, that's true. It started as just a community get-together. We were just like, let's get on Discord every Friday at 2 p.m. to talk about like the app and take community suggestions, just have a open dialogue with our community. And then one time we did that, like this one guy from the fighting game community came on and we just talked to him for like 40 minutes. Cause he works at NetherRealm or not WB. And he was just like, COVID did this and next year's going to be so hard. And these TOs are having, and it was just this really interesting conversation that I really enjoyed. I'm just like, let's make this a show.
Let's do something with this.
Let's do something like this. So we've had 2 episodes so far. We just launched our podcast. First episode, we had Bravo on, Halo commentator, 15-year veteran of the scene, former player, former coach, worked at 343. Now he's a caster. Second episode, we had Vansili, who has 20 years of esports commentating under his belt. So we talked a lot about like the really old days.
He's a good dude to talk to. Really enjoyed conversations with him.
If you're old like us, 30+ year olds, then you might remember some of the like names like Cal and CPL and TWL and OGL and CEVO and WCG and all these things. We talked about all of it. And this week we're gonna have Doa on the show to talk about just his career as a caster.
We also know Doa. Good dude.
That's awesome. Good dude.
Yeah, and then we also just a big part of it is Q&A with the community, so taking questions. So if you want to join in that, check us out. We do it every Friday on our Discord, discord.gg/juked.
Perfect. Well, obviously we encourage all of our listeners to partake in everything Juked. I don't want to be that guy to pitch you ideas while on the show. However, Anuj and I have kids. And as like every other 2-year-old, they kind of run our house. What if, hear me out, you guys figure out a way to have half esports and half like Coco Melon or Sesame Street?
I knew you were going to say Coco Melon.
That would be so awesome.
And then that way,
I can split stream Coco Melon.
That way I can watch esports and he can also be satisfied and I don't have to turn it off.
You don't have to say no right now.
Yeah, take it back to the team.
Take it to the drawing board. See what y'all can do. Let us know.
Or how about when you have Doa on, ask him to like wear a Big Bird costume the next time he casts the game or something. Like Vansili as Elmo. Like these are things where it's an untapped market is the 2-year-old in esports.
Good stuff.
So
yeah, let's get him early. That's how we're gonna build the next generation.
Just pitch it and see what the guys say. You know, you never know.
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. Really appreciate you coming on. Look forward to seeing what you guys have coming up, and I'm sure we will chat with you soon.
Yeah, congrats on 366 episodes. Keep it up, guys.
Appreciate it, man.
On number 2. We'll catch you soon, bud.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
All right, so there it is. Ben from CEO of Juked. Always good to have him on, talk some esports, talk good products. And all in all, that was not like a paid segment. They are just good dudes that we like to have on the show because we really do use them and keep up with a lot of the events.
Love that they're just focused on what the same. Although we have different products, obviously, it's the same mindset, right? It's promoting esports and getting it out there to a wider audience and making it more inclusive of a place for you guys to come to talk with like-minded folks and enjoy just talking esports. And so I feel like they have a similar vision in that sense, and appreciate what they do. Always good to have them on.
For sure. All right, Anuj, let's get into some of our own esports talk, if you would so entertain me. As I changed the brightness on my screen, I was wondering I was getting blinded. I was still in FPS mode because, you know, I'm a true gamer like that. Let's get into some yikes of the week, as we had a few to get to. I will start with this. I didn't write this down because I didn't know where to take it, but it's a Blizzard yikes, and I just want to bring it up before I forget. We have now entered into the strange stories coming out. Like, all the other time, it's like you're disgusted with it, and you're like, what the hell, Blizzard? I'm never going to play your game again. Did you see the story of the woman?
I did. I know exactly where this is going.
Her breast milk was getting stolen.
I don't even understand.
I don't know where to take that one.
Well, so I'll tell you, because this happened in this household.
A female Blizzard employee
would be killed in this household if you stole breast milk during that time. Because I know to some people that might be some sort of funny joke, and you don't understand.
Let me tell you what. To a new parent, breast milk is liquid gold.
I mean, especially it's not easy. That's not easy for everybody. Breastfeeding is not a given, right? Like that, you're going to produce X amount of milk when you have your kid. And so that shit is just like so unacceptable to me. And then it's just weird.
It's just weird. That's like, really what it is.
Weird. Like, who does that? Like, I mean, you know, at this point, we're just throwing gasoline on the fire because it's been a constant shit show with them.
You know,
and
to
they're
play
doing it to themselves, self-inflicted, but I hope that's not widespread and this was just like a one-off.
To play devil's advocate here, maybe they weren't stolen and like someone saw, because, you know, breast milk, if you're storing it, is typically in like a bag type of device, or at least that's the ones that I've seen that we have when we had were in that stage of life. Maybe like someone was like, oh, what is this bagged milk? It looks kind of goofy, and then they threw it away. But even then, like, that's just, you don't do that in a workplace either. You don't touch I don't care if it has mold growing on it. You don't touch another man's food in a work fridge. Also, Blizzard, maybe you get like a separate fridge elsewhere for mothers that they can just put their breast milk in, that they don't have to worry about people snooping around stealing their breast milk. It's weird. It's weird.
It's just weird. It's just one of those stories that I saw, and I honestly thought about it for yikes. I was like, this is getting really weird.
It's
now.
just, yeah, it's like I said, we've turned the corner now with this Blizzard news stuff, and we're getting into the weird stuff now. Like, there's still something there to tap, right? It's like, there's still news.
We're gonna tap that mine until it's dry, but, but this is
we are getting to the
just
point.
A weird one and uncomfortable, and you feel bad for the moms that are going through that. So again, hopefully it was like a one-off scenario where one person experienced this and it wasn't widespread, but geez, you got to be a shitty human to pull something like that.
Just odd. That's an odd one. To normal yikes of the week. I will take this first one here, Anuj. Esports Arena did a Halo launch event, so this was not tied to the upcoming major coming up here just this weekend. But this is just a Halo launch event. All the huge teams were there, though. You know, as you can imagine, all the partner teams and then some. I was watching it off and on throughout the day. So I don't know. There had to have been like major technical delays, because I'm sitting here. It's like 1 a.m. and I see the tweet. And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this tournament was long gone, you know, earlier in the day. I see the tweet at like 1 a.m. Central Time that we're like just now entering into like the losers finals.
Yeah.
I'm like, first off, Halo, I know it's been a while since you've been popular in esports. You don't have to do this anymore. We don't do the 2 a.m. grand final start anymore.
I know you've been gone for like 6-7 years,
Yeah,
and you're reintroducing yourself into the scene, but that is barbaric at this point.
that's like
like
6 years ago in esports. We would watch don't you remember? It would be like Cloud9 versus Liquid starting at 12:30 in the morning, and you're like, yeah, no, this sounds like a good time to start. This is normal.
12:30, a little early today, so we're getting kicked off. No, I mean, you would think, especially having partner teams in your event, you kind of plan around that a little bit better, just for the simple fact of like, health issues and how long they're like continuously having to go at a high level. Like that stuff is again kind of been taken out. Those are left more for like the true open events, I guess you could say.
Right.
So yeah,
there had to have been like
it's just one of those
huge
things
tech
where you hate to
delays or
see it.
something.
Like it's too late. It's not the norm anymore. We need to go away from that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Hard to do at the same time. I get that. Like shit happens, and
Sens did defeat Optic, though, for those wondering. Sens defeated Optic. There's that. All right, what is your yikes?
Mobile gaming, Tim.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
That's the yikes right there in itself.
We're told it's a thing.
Razer releases a lot of cool products. I'll give them that. Like they do release some pretty innovative products when it comes to not only just mobile gaming, but when it comes to PC gaming. Obviously, the peripheral side is just fantastic for them. Well, Tim, this one's a little questionable. Probably has some real application, real use that I'm finding hard to believe, but they have just released a new fan for your phone, and it basically connects to the back of the phone, and it's supposed to keep it cool for those 8 to 10 hour sessions that you're grinding out on Call of Duty Mobile. I'm sure there is a group of people out there that this is very targeted towards, but just looking at it, I had a little bit of a chuckle because I guess we're at that point of evolution now where phones are going to start having all these gizmos and gadgets to go along with it for.
Well, and you know what it looked like when I first saw their tweet? It looked like what you would see, all these companies do it like on April Fools, where like they'll show this fake ridiculous, like the Razer toaster or the Microsoft fridge, which is now a thing.
The finger condoms that they had.
Right. Like all these things that are, and it's funny because it's all geared towards mobile, where at first I see it and I'm like, this isn't real. This is a joke. But like you said, that is the choice platform for some gamers out there. And I guess apart from my 5 minutes of opening up Pokemon Go, I really don't play any games on my phone. So I guess if I was grinding out, League of Legends or Call of Duty, I'd imagine your phone gets pretty hot, especially if it's hot outside anyways. If you're already in a warm area, your hands are on it. So it's not, you're warming it up then. So I guess you need a fan, but it looks ridiculous. And I love Razer, but they definitely Razered it up because it's got like the chroma, and it's just so you look at it and you're like, yes, I'm a gamer. What's up? How could you tell?
Well, mine ships in on the 18th, so I'll let you know what I think.
There is no way you bought it.
No way. No way.
Not a chance.
No way.
So there's that. Some yikes of the week. All right, we have Halo drama to get to in a moment, but first, Anuj, let's discuss the VCT Champs.
That was going on this past weekend?
Yeah, you might have heard about it. So obviously,
did NA compete?
They showed up. Actually, no. Let's start with this, okay? Because obviously, all the talk last episode was going into playoffs. We had a couple group stage games to go, but there was the off chance that not a single NA team would qualify for playoffs. So fast forward, we at least had one, Cloud9, the one NA team that I think most people could see not making the playoffs was the one NA team that did, because Envy ended up falling in their group stage as well.
Yeah, Envy ended up losing to X10 Crit. They lost to them 2-1. And then you had Sentinels losing to Crew Esports, who had a really good showing this event. Falling to them 2-1, both in the loser bracket finals. I never in a million years, Tim, never in a million years thought we would be sitting here in a playoff stage for champions without Envy and Sentinels, at least one of the two, right? Like there's always that off chance that somebody has a bad day, but to think that both of them fell short in this event of all events is quite devastating as an NA fan, because like I'm starting to get the NA CS:GO sweats, if you know what I'm
Oh
talking about
yes,
here, Tim.
very
Like
familiar.
I'm starting to feel that same type of, oh, these tier 2 Counter-Strike players
Here
that
we
moved
go
over to
again.
Valorant brought over the same, same results that we're used to seeing. And it was just devastating, I think, to the NA scene, because you're right, Cloud9 was the one team that we thought maybe had the outside chance of not making it, and they did, but they also, fell quite short when it came into the playoff stage. Also, it's not like we had some sort of great showing from NA really in any area of
Now,
champions this
a
weekend.
disclaimer, I'm obviously a Cloud9 fanboy, but as a Cloud9 fan, I will say I was happy with their performance at the end of the day. Like, how I felt last episode about Sentinels and just NA in general, like the disdain that I had for NA Valorant, last week, I did not feel the same embarrassment when Cloud9 was eliminated. First off, there were close maps. They played Liquid, which we'll get to in a moment, but I can't believe Liquid weren't in the finals after seeing them play throughout the event. Like,
yeah, I mean they had one of the toughest first round matchups you could possibly
right.
have.
So I mean, we'll talk about Liquid in a moment because they deserve their time. But I will say I felt like Cloud9 being the dark horse on NA to even make playoffs, to show up, and the way they did, like I said, they performed well. I think Leaf kind of put himself on everyone's radar, right? We even discussed it going into it, where it was like, they picked up some guys and they performed well in the last chance qualifiers, but what are your real expectations of Cloud9? Well, I do think now it's what we have until like whenever the new one starts up in March, I think, is looking at the calendar. They announced it all. I'll have to look when we get to eNews, but a lot of time between now and the next time, these teams will start competing again in a meaningful events. But I don't know. I don't want to say Cloud9 is now the NA's new favorite because we have a lot of roster changes moving on, which we'll get to later. Sentinels looked so rattled, and now you're seeing, like, you saw the tweets from Tens saying like he just wants to take some time away, which deja vu. When have we heard that before?
Did he really say that?
He said he just wants to take a break at the moment. Now, again, after you just lost embarrassingly, I guess I would want to take a break too. But when you're Tens saying you want to take a break, I just feel it a little differently. Because every time he has said that, it's resulted into him, quote unquote, retiring. So I don't know if you're an NA.
Unfortunately for the Sentinels, they needed one thing to happen to be successful in this event, and they needed Tens to show up, right? Because he has been the best player, and I think you can undisputedly say that for the most part. There's some conversations about Nats, but let's be real, that came up just in the past few months. Tens has kind of been the go-to golden child since beta and beyond, right? And Sentinels has been the dream team since beta and beyond, and they just needed Tens to show up in a Tens type of average way, right? Like, just be yourself, go do your thing. Unfortunately, he was himself too much and didn't show up in a big event once again. And we've seen this during his time in Counter-Strike when it moves to LAN. We have seen some signs of it recently in Valorant, and there was no difference here in Champions. We just didn't get that same performance, and they had to have it. And look, I mean, as good as they are as a 5-man squad, you need your all-star to be an all-star. You can't make up for those types of plays, right? Like, people can be consistent and do what they need to do, but if your all-star isn't shining when it matters most, it's damn hard. And I really thought, outside of, I think, one map, Tens was actually the weakest player on the team. And I don't think that's even a stretch to say that. Like, I thought he was genuinely the weakest link on that team because he was trying to do Tens type plays, and they were all backfiring. He would die very early in several rounds, or he didn't make the clutch kill that we're just used to seeing. And I don't know if that was a confidence thing or what, but for Sentinels to fall short and not even make it into playoffs, I mean, that is a disheartening way to start 2022 if you're them. It's not like we lost in the finals or a semifinals matchup. You got knocked out in group stage to teams you had no business even being in the same match as them, and that proved to be, just an ultimate disaster if you ask me.
Did you see the fun stat? I saw this. I believe I saw it on Reddit. Tens is now 0-9 in win or go home maps on LAN events since July 2017. So obviously including his Counter-Strike career and things like that. But 0-9 in win or go home. And this is what I've always talked about Tens about on this show, is he is an amazing player. He will fill up a highlight reel in one match. He can create a highlight reel. No one's arguing that he's the best player in the world. But you can read his tweets. You can see him on stream. The dude gets rattled. Like, he just folds when the pressure is truly there. Now, easy for me to say, but still, the stats are there. 0-9 in win or go home situations on LAN events.
To be somewhat play the devil, because I agree with you for the most part here, Tim. To play a little bit of devil's advocate here, I bet if you looked at the LAN records for most of these players, they're probably going to be pretty abysmal, in the sense that none of them were on the best team in their previous esport, right? Like, especially if we're talking about the Counter-Strike folk, like Sick, Dapper, Shazam. Shazam probably has a pretty decent record because he's been around for a long time. He's probably got a lot of wins under his belt. But for the most part, most of these players were quote unquote, and failure is the wrong word here, but it's the only one that's coming to mind. But they kind of failed in a sense of achieving the ultimate goal in their previous games. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we just went back and looked at everybody's LAN record. If we're counting Counter-Strike, a lot of them are probably pretty bad. But for Tens, I think the issue has been on the teams that he's been on. He's supposed to have been that star player. Even on some of those Counter-Strike rosters, he was supposed to be the guy. So when you lose a game, it falls on the quarterback, whatever the star player. I think it's no different here. And for him, he has just fallen short on the big stage. And that's really what it comes down to. And for Envy, Tim, I kind of just want to pivot to them before we maybe get into some playoff stuff. I think for them to fall short to X10 of all teams, I'm kind of at a loss for words when it comes to that, because they had no business losing to them. I know that I'm not saying X10 is some trash team, but like Envy was the clear favorite in their bracket. It's not even like Ascend was looked at as like okay, yeah, they should make it through as the number 2 team in that bracket. But Envy was like the clear cut favorite, and it looks like that loss to Ascend, I mean, mentally or whatever, really threw them off, because you had a 1-0 lead in that matchup versus X10, and then dropped, on Split and Haven, losing in overtime on that last map. I mean, that's just so defeating if you are, an Envy fan. And I did not see that coming. Also completely blindsided me to see Envy fall to X10.
One common theme that I somewhat saw with the NA teams, and people say this with Counter-Strike, and I think it's just NA's style of gaming is what people will tell you, and I'm starting to believe it, is like with Cloud9 and Envy, there was never a plan B if the first strategy didn't work out. Like, if it was, hey, let's go B through hookah, right? It didn't matter if there was a Phoenix wall or a jet smoke put up. It was, no, we're going whole W and waterfall out of this smoke, and we'll just gun out of it. Like, we're the better team. We'll just outgun them and get through this smoke. and it never worked out, but it just felt like there was never a plan B to where if the other team countered their first push, even if it's just waiting out the smoke, right? Like half the time that you throw a smoke just to preemptively assume they're pushing, right? Maybe you heard a footstep, maybe there was a call somewhere or something like that. But I mean, if you're already NA and if you're already feeling the pressure and your back's against the wall, I mean, for crying out loud, like the fact that you're even in a win or go home situation is already telling me things are not going as planned this event. I noticed that though a lot this event, that NA team specifically had no plan B. It looked to me like they were just trying to outgun the other team, which that's something we've always heard with Counter-Strike. NA is like, NA just doesn't really scrim. They don't really practice. They're always going for kills, right? So I kind of saw that this event.
Yeah, and one thing I wish the NA teams would have done is not just given to the meta that it evolved to. Like, you were very good with particular agents early on, and then you just kind of followed the meta. I don't know if they necessarily set the meta in the sense like NA teams made this the meta and then the rest of the league followed along. It kind of felt like it was reversal. Like, we took some of what EU was doing and it was like, hey, these are the agents that we need to use and we're going to use them regardless, versus kind of just doing what you did best. The game hasn't changed that much. There have been certain agents that have been buffed enough to where they have to kind of enter the meta, like Viper on certain maps and Astra obviously kind of replacing Omen. But it's like, look, if you got a good Omen and the dude's comfortable on Omen, just play Omen. Doesn't mean that he should be completely eliminated from the meta, and we saw that in the championship match, which is why I think Ascend ultimately beat Gambit, is they swapped out Astra for Omen, and Omen hadn't been played all tournament, and I think it just threw Gambit off. Like, they didn't know how to handle the quick recycling of smokes that Omen can do to hold off areas, and it worked. And I like that they were Ascend was willing to go out on that ledge and do that. I think NA needs to kind of just take a step back, see what worked for you, try to be a little bit more basic in that approach and make it more complicated, as you said, from a tactical approach. That's where you need to be innovative and have your backup plans A, B, and C. If we are getting information and we know that they're heavy on the hookah side, what are we going to do to counter that versus, oh, well, we got the right characters to be able to take this site. This is the site we're going to go for. Let's just do it. And so, I don't know, maybe just a lack of creativity when it comes to the meta and from a tactical standpoint, I just felt like we seemed a little bit behind, where I felt like we were the front runners for a long time. You can see that has definitely shifted.
Now you sound like me talking about Overwatch League. That was always the issue with a lot of teams. It's like all the bad teams. It's like, guys, you're losing. Why not mix it up?
Like if you suck at goats, guess what? Try something different. It doesn't have to be goats. Like, find a counter to it. It just felt like we were following the crowd. We weren't, scrims. It seems like from what we've heard, were not the most impactful or meaningful in their approach. And look, if NA wants to be at the top again, they kind of need to band together a little bit, tighten up the ship, make scrim schedules, like get on top of it, because you're only going to fall farther behind.
Yeah,
you have
and
the
you need
perfect
to do
example
it now
in Counter-Strike sitting right there of what happens when you start to fall farther and farther and farther behind.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. Is you need to do it now with Valorant, because the issue with Counter-Strike is NA doesn't have, like, the top NA talent has no other top NA talent to scrim against. Like, who is Liquid going to scrim against that you feel would honestly benefit them, right? Evil Geniuses, that's one team.
They don't even have a team.
Yeah, so point in case, right? Like, it's so slim pickings if you really want to get solid scrims in. With Valorant, it's, despite the results here, right, I still believe NA has top talent, right? Like, you got 3 teams made it to champs, and, it's just a blunder that only one made it to the playoffs. So I'm not writing off NA Valorant. However, like you said, you got that whisper, right? The PTSD from Counter-Strike in the back of your head saying, hey, here we go again, right? So enough about NA. Like I said, Cloud9, as predicted, was NA's hope. That's not a surprise by me, though. Leaf did look incredible, though.
Now on to the real teams, Tim, our playoff teams that were
Yes.
involved here. And
Now getting to those, I did want to let's talk. I did want to shout out Crew. I loved Crew going into this event more from like a little brother ruffle their hair type. I didn't think they were actually going to perform the way they did, but I thought Crew was awesome. I loved seeing the videos from the
Crew was great.
Yeah.
Great, absolutely great. And they gave us the best of 3 that we had all of it, Tim, with the Gambit Crew matchup, where Crew took them to what, a triple overtime, quadruple overtime, if I'm not mistaken.
It's 18-16, so do the math.
And that's on map 3 as a decider match to go to the finals. I mean, it was one of the most intense matchups we had in the event. Probably one of the best games of Valorant that we've had in Valorant up until this point. But Crew put on a hell of a showing. Like they've made a name for themselves coming out of this event, where going into the event, they were looked at as an afterthought and a team that was probably going to be eliminated in group stage.
And I will say, as an American, we are officially adopting Crew as an American team. South America, Latin America.
South NA.
Hello. You don't get that without us. So, welcome to the crew. Also, if EU can claim Gambit, we can claim them.
Yeah, it's close enough, right?
This whole look. All right, you Europeans, okay? You need to decide what countries belong where and stick with it. Earlier in the year, we were like, oh, how come Turkey gets to go in EU? Oh, that's not fair. And now all of a sudden, we're like, hey, Gambit, hey, EU. And Gambit in any other esport is considered CIS, not EU. So we don't get to claim that. Also, I love it, Anuj, seeing these people, and it's the same in Counter-Strike. The people who talk the loudest are from the places in EU that I don't even think they know what esports is. You get people from like London trying to talk smack on EU. I'm like, brother, look who's competing. Like, do you guys even have a team? Like, give me a break
Anybody
here.
from Great Britain in any of these games here?
Like, I think Bolster, but that's besides the point. But so yeah, it's like, let's pump the brakes here, EU. Okay, I got some Irish guy talking smack for EU about a Russian team. Like, what is this mess here? Like, I need like a flow chart to follow how you cheer and who you pick for. So I don't, this whole EU versus NA thing is, first off, grossly unfair to that advantage. But that being said, Crew, congratulations. You're now an American team and you performed well. Loved seeing the fan outing that they had. Did you see that? Like all the fans gathering to do the watch party. That was good vibes for sure.
They represented well. I thought the other team that really stood out to me in this event that I'm so shocked, as you mentioned earlier.
Can I talk Crew one more second here?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be the only time I can bring this up. Knocking out Fnatic.
Thank you.
Yeah, just thank you. That's all.
That's it.
That's
it.
The fact that I only had to see Fnatic one time in playoffs.
And I'm going to go back on this because I said one thing 10 episodes ago, and I got to change my stance here. Boaster in that first LAN event, I thoroughly enjoyed because it was fun to see everybody back at LAN. He was charismatic. A lot of, just childhood kind of vibes getting from him in terms of how jovial and excited he was. Now looking at it in this event, Tim, couldn't be more annoyed by somebody. Okay, I really was just like cringing at half of his actions because they're so over the top, over exaggerated in everything that he does that I genuinely started rooting for them to lose when I had no skin in the game when Fnatic was playing. In fact, watching Durka, their Jet Opper, was probably some of the most exciting Valorant I saw throughout the event. The dude is absolutely stellar, and without him, that team would have been, I think, trash in my opinion. This event, but Boaster made me completely just not enjoy watching that team. And I might be alone in saying that. And this is not a
No,
knock on Boaster.
I mean, you know my
Good
opinion on him.
ICL, but I got so annoyed and I caught myself like actively rooting for them to get eliminated at any point in the event. I would not have been able to handle them on the main stage winning it all. Like it just would not have worked for me.
I've never disliked a more likable person. Like, because by all
That's
accounts,
a good way of putting it.
he seems like
he's probably a great dude. Okay,
Right.
This is not a knock on him as a
Right.
human. It's just he's so over
Just
exaggerated in every action.
Imagine sitting next to him at DreamHack for an entire weekend. I couldn't do it. I would have to switch seats. It just
Yeah.
I can't have that much positive vibes. I just can't do it.
It's not in my DNA.
I just can't do it. All right. So what other team were you going to throw it to?
I mean, I'm sad that they didn't make it to the finals, Tim, because I really thought they were on their way the way they were playing, and that's Team Liquid. I just want to give them a little bit of a shout out as we get into the finals here. But Liquid to me looked so good this event, and they had to overcome some issues at the beginning, obviously with Navira testing positive for COVID and not being able to play with the rest of his team. But I thought that brotherly duo of Scream and Navira was such a fascinating story to follow and such an easy team to root for. They look so good. I mean, I really wanted them to make it all the way, especially with Scream being who he is and how we've kind of followed his career. It would have been cool to see him get one, especially early. But I do think that team is destined to play in a finals at some point. Should they stick together, and I hope they do. I think they got an amazing lineup, and they were just really an exciting team to watch. I mean, they just had so many people that could pop off, whether it be Jampy, Davira, and Scream doing their thing. Link was deadly at times, and so just really enjoyed watching that team as a whole. And I hope they kind of continue on because I do think they have a title at some point in their future.
Yes, I agree with pretty much everything you just said. Like watching them, like I said, when they eliminated Cloud9, it was even hard to be upset about because it was just like, no, I mean, Liquid was clearly the better team. Like there was just no denying it at that point. Like Liquid deserved to be there despite the matches being close, right? Bind 13-10, Ascent I think was 13-11, if I remember correctly. So I mean,
they get smacked by Ascend in the semis. I mean, they didn't even have a close matchup against them.
Right. So I mean, that, like I said, the semifinals against Ascend threw me off, but I guess in retrospect we can say Ascend won it all, so no worries. But no, I think, like you said, that brotherly duo between Navira and Scream, I think is going to be so deadly when, especially because, like, remember, Navira's young. He's a rookie, right? So, and especially playing on this level, he is a rookie. So for him to come in for a huge LAN event like this on the biggest stage Valorant has ever had, I mean, if I was a Liquid fan, I'd be pretty happy with this outing. And again, remember, going into this, Liquid was another one of those teams that we were like, okay, like, you know, they've kind of been shaky. It's a newer roster, more or less. Like, let's see what happens. But no, I think they looked incredible.
Yeah, and you know, it's sad because I watched them play, and I also think they're like that what if team to me, in the sense of if Jampy had an opportunity to play Counter-Strike before his false ban, you know, kind of kicked him out of the scene. If Valve didn't completely screw over the 6-man roster rule that they made, you know, what would Navira have been in Counter-Strike, and would Scream have potentially came back to play with him? There's such a what if team when I look at them of like, what could have been if these guys had a real shot to perform in Counter-Strike, and they made the smart business decision, so I don't blame them for doing what they did, but it's just like a what if scenario. I think ultimately this team evolves and gets to a point where they're holding up a major trophy at some point, though. I don't even know if they're one piece away. I think they might have all the right ingredients there right now to do that.
I wouldn't change anything. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, like just run it back. You didn't have a ton of time to practice with Navira. You know, it was just something where Ascend just caught fire at the right time, because I think everybody, and maybe this is where we just transition, unless you want to add anything on Liquid's part, but
No, I just, like I said, I loved Liquid. Once I saw them play Cloud9, I was like, okay, like they are my favorites. So
they were
just
sold.
loved
Yeah, I was sold on them. They just looked so good throughout the event. Ascend to me, Tim, was like the team that just caught fire at the right time. Not to say that they're bad, because they're not at all. Obviously, they're not. Um, but I also felt like they hit a high point a little earlier in the year and then kind of fell off a little bit. Right now, when I say fall off again, we're talking just a couple of slots here and there, but that matters when you start going into events such as this. And I thought Ascend was kind of to me, in the middle of the road with a real outside chance of winning it, but I didn't think they could compete with the likes of Envy, Sentinels, Gambit. I even thought Liquid would be able to handle them going into that matchup. But they seem like a number 5 or 6 place team to me headed into this event. And then you get into the playoff stage with these guys, and I felt like I was watching a completely new team. I mean, they dominated 2-0 in their first round matchup against Team Secret, and I think most people thought they would win that matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people thought they would lose their next matchup against Liquid, just based on how Liquid was playing, and they handled them quite easily. And then you go up against the juggernaut, and I say that in quotes because I still think they also have something to prove in Gambit, and took them to 5, ultimately winning it on split using an Omen, which again, I just can't stress enough that that was such a gutsy move by them, because Omen had not been used, I think, almost all event. Maybe he was used once or twice throughout, but really Astra has taken over that spot, and to bring him out on a map 5, I think, was just such a gutsy play call, and it showed that this team really believed themselves to make a change like that and pull out the 3-2 victory over Gambit. Like, I just did not see that coming, and really excited for them, because that's an international roster. We talked about this on a previous episode with Counter-Strike, that an international team had never won a major event. Like, they had won events before, but not a
But
major.
not a
It had
major.
always been like a full core from a particular country. They are, in the true sense, an international roster, and to do this in Valorant's first big event, I thought was something special.
And you've already seen, I think it was everyone but CNET, at last I checked earlier today, has re-signed with the team. So I think that's also big, because Ascend was one of those teams where, when, like you mentioned, they kind of peaked early, and then G2 signed a player, and there was rumors of like, are they getting poached, right? I thought Ascend played really well. Gambit played really well. I think overall, this is gonna sound very negative of me, Anuj. And the viewership was phenomenal, right? So don't incredible. However, as a marketing person, I can't imagine Riot was completely thrilled when they saw this be the grand finals. Just because you see some of the orgs that were involved, I think they were boasting, hey, Valorant is going to be a worldwide league, right? Like, we're going to have teams come over from all across the world. And now you ended up having 2 EU teams, whatever you want to say about Gambit, right? But it's all coming from that area. And so, I don't know. I think perfect scenario, you would have had 2 regions compete, right? Hopefully you would have a bigger org than Ascend and Gambit. No knock on them, but like when you got Liquid and Fnatic and Cloud9 in the mix, like you probably wanted one of those involved. But overall, I thought the grand final was phenomenal.
Fan, I was obviously disappointed. I'm sure the EU side was thrilled, right? So I think if you were a fan of NA Valorant, it felt like a lackluster finals, but you got an amazing finals nonetheless, right? Like the performance within that game was great. But my excitement level was also dampened a little bit as Liquid got eliminated, and then Crew was obviously knocked out by G2. Like,
yeah, it's
those
just
were
not
maybe
sexy orgs, right? There's not like Crew. You had the storyline. X10 would have even had a storyline if they advanced in the playoffs. It's like these two teams. It's going into it, like I said, obviously the performance and everything was top notch, and you're not complaining about it now. But going in, you know, there were even some people on our Discord saying like, okay. Like, I'll watch it.
I was just kind of defeated at that point, Tim. So, like, my opinion is going to be skewed because once all NA was eliminated, really, even after just the group stage, I was feeling demoralized, right? Because then I saw that Cloud9 had to play Liquid, and I was like, I didn't have a ton of faith in them to pull out that match, although they had a good chance. I didn't see them as the better team. So I was a little defeated going into the semis and the grand finals because I knew I didn't have a dog in this race anymore. And so for me, that took away a little bit from it. But as a whole, I thought it was a really good event. They did a really good job. Yeah. The observing was pretty good. That's slowly getting better and better. You know, the level of competition is really high.
Just got to get the fans there now. Let's get the fans back.
I mean, it's very clear Valorant is a top-notch, top-tier esport. Right?
I keep, I keep seeing people on Twitter, and it makes me chuckle, I guess, because we had Valorant at an A tier last in our tier list. People are like, "Oh man, that was a good outing. The future of Valorant esports looks bright." I'm like, "Yeah, where have you been, bro? Like, I could have told you it looked bright the second I saw Riot was backing it." Like, we knew it had this, it was going to get here. I wouldn't even say it was a question that Valorant was going to get to this level. It was always destined it was going to get to this level. Now the question is, how will it hold up at this level? I think it will stay there, but that's besides the point. You know, I guess when you have, if they go with the league route and having franchise teams and everything, that could be the one thing that throws it off a little bit. But no, I thought
now I'm also starting to question that whole thing though of like, wait, are they?
I don't think so. Looking at their plan, which we can actually discuss here if you want and leave it out of e-news. Looking at their plans for next year, I don't think they're going that model. I think that it's just
it's not going to be an immediate change.
No. Yeah, I mean,
right now they're pretty happy with what they've created.
Yeah. So real quick, we'll talk about that in a second, but just some notes for the champs. I wrote in my personal notes that teams live and die by their ops, to state the obvious, but my God, some of those oppers in Valorant are just completely nuts, out of their minds. Also the in-game skins. So obviously, I don't know if you went and bought the skins, Anuj, but if you went and bought the skins, obviously half of it went to the qualified teams. 15, roughly, give or take, $15 million total was raised, meaning $7.5 million went to the qualified teams.
That's awesome.
So
no, I did not buy them, but only because I'm not actively playing the game at the moment. If we were actively playing, that would have been an immediate buy for me, to be honest with you. Because
I thought about doing it just to support the teams, and then I forgot. So
it's like that type of collectible stuff, right? Like when I know something is not coming back, I kind of just want it a little bit more. But Riot skins are not the cheapest. You know, they're very, to me, although you're getting what you want, the fact that I can't trade or resell makes me think twice about most of my purchases. And don't get me wrong, I've given them a couple $100 at this point, you know, so I'm no like foreigner when it comes to purchasing stuff like that. But you know, this was like $70 or 80
for the package. I think I don't know.
It was kind of pricey. So if I was actively playing, probably would have got it, or at least bought one of the items out of that bundle. But the fact that we're just not playing it, and I don't know
at the time opening,
if we go back.
I was gonna say at the time opening up Valorant and letting it update just sounded like a lot of work, personally for me, and I just didn't know if I had the time to do it, so I did not buy it.
Look, hopefully next time we're playing at the right time, but if I'm not actively playing the game, it's hard for me to jump on and give $60-$70 to a game.
Riot did announce, though, their plans for VCT 2022, so coming up next year. Essentially, this is what you're looking at. There will be a new challenger format designed to expand play regionally between top teams. The first Challenger runs from February through March, seeding an April Masters. So pretty much this is the off season, December and January. It starts back up in February with the next Masters coming up in April. Then you have the second split from May to June with the Master in July. And then the rest of the VCT resumes as usual until the last chance qualifiers in August, followed by Champs in September. So pretty much from February to September, we are having Valorant action non-stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice. You'll see it throughout the year. I'm kind of curious about format changes and maybe how to engage people more throughout the qualification stage to keep that a little interesting, especially after that second Masters event and you go into this last chance qualifier, which I found hard to keep track of at that point because it was more of I just don't care at this point. Like I've seen the two Masters. Now we're watching the last chance qualifier. So I wonder what they do to kind of mix that up possibly and make that.
I think now that I see the roadmap, I can hold. I think it's like you're almost telling yourself, okay, it's just like an NFL season. You know, I just have to pay attention in these months, and it's the season of Valorant. But yeah, I mean, we both talked about it where it was just like it felt like a lot of
Yeah, like now I kind
back
of
and
know
forth.
like I don't need to worry about the seeding events. I don't care as much about those matchups, but come April, come July, come September, it's all Valorant, right? The Masters events leading up to Champs, like that's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
Everything in between will just be good fun Valorant to watch from time
Yeah.
to time.
And after September, between February, assuming they keep up with the February-September thing, if you're like, that's a lot of dead time now, they are going to have new tournament circuits between third-party organizers. So I guess ESL, DreamHack, insert
and
TOs,
they need to because
Blast.
you need to have ways for these teams to make money.
Right. In the
And
off season, you just have to.
Yeah, I think they should honestly let them kind of just operate throughout the year
Yeah.
normally and let there be a Blast event
Yep.
and then an ESL
And I
event.
kind of like it. So they say that's going to be through October, November, and Riot will purposely work with other TOs to make sure none of it overlaps. Meaning, yeah, you're going to have third party, but Riot still has a say on who gets it and when. And I also love the fact that it's only through November, meaning these guys, these players, they have a 2-month off season, which 2-3 months, which is pretty standard, I would say, in traditional sports as well. You get, about 2 or 3 months off.
You need to have that. You can't go.
You can't. You have to reset. You have to reset. So I like it. You know what? I saw that, loved it, and I'm ready. It's kind of nice to know we have like a 2-month break, but then come February, it's ready to rock and roll with Valorant.
Following the off season because we know there's going to be a lot of changes made and teams have already started the shuffle process, so it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few months here.
Absolutely. And speaking of interesting to see what happens, Anuj, we are just under a month of Halo being back in esports, and we already have top shelf Call of Duty drama that it's offering, because what's going on right now in the pro Halo scene is pretty incredible when it comes to a drama standpoint. So if you haven't been keeping up with it, here's a little catch up. So obviously coming up this weekend, you have Raleigh, however you want to say it, coming up, Halo's Master event. Okay. Royal 2, longtime pro, right? World champion, has no track record as far as I know of being cheating or, a dirty player, was investigated and found guilty of cheating and hacking by the HCS, the Halo Championship Series, deemed for geo-filtering, right? Which in layman terms was adjusted his IP to where his IP would reject certain servers, so he would always get a local server or as close to a local server as he can get on Halo servers.
I think it's because he was doing this because he was playing in Canada, so when you're getting a bunch of like Texas servers and things like that, it can probably be a little messy. And Tim, this was interesting because I don't know if you saw this, but did you see their response to the initial allegations? Like how much they defended being innocent, I guess you could say. Like,
When you
did
say
you see
they, like Sentinel players and
Sentinel
Royal 2?
players? Yep, Royal 2, and then
Yeah.
also some of his
So
teammates
I was
advocating for him.
so yeah. Let me say this. So he was found guilty. He is suspended until January 28th. He's going to miss the major. Okay, so we have all this information. Now, to your point, it definitely seems like Royal 2 and his team was not on the same page with this, because let me tell you what, say what you want about Sentinels in this scenario, they are some ride and die bitches for Royal 2. So there's that. Like, they had his back blindly, saying, we're innocent, this would never happen, of course he wouldn't do that, it's obviously an error, a technical issue, it's on 343 server side, it's ridiculous. And then Royal 2 comes out with a tweet longer saying like, no, I that's my bad, I totally did it. Like Anuj said, he said that he did it when the game first launched because he was having a lot of server issues. Understandable. New Halo comes out. You're a Halo pro. You just want to play, even just matchmaking, right? Let alone scrims or whatever, but you just want to play. Let me go in. And if, for those who don't know, who's never done it before, if you go in and like mess with like IP routing, you don't just accidentally do it, right? Like it takes effort. Like if you don't know,
you have to know what you're doing.
You are Googling how to do this. I don't think the average man just knows to open up his IP settings and change this, right? And then he says he forgot to turn it off, opening up his IP, right? He forgot to adjust it again before these certain qualifying tournaments and events. So that's the gray area if you buy it or not. Look, like I said, Royal 2 has been around forever. He doesn't have, as far as I know, a history of cheating. They're labeling it as cheating and hacking. Hacking sounds a bit harsh, but I guess by definition, whatever you want to say. Because it was manipulating. They claimed it was manipulating files. I don't think it was. Again, that's a bit harsh to put on your permanent record. I don't think he was hacking, but nonetheless, whether he meant to do it, whether he innocently forgot to turn it off before these official qualifying events and tournaments, you did it. And you forgot to turn it off. And you had, IP manipulating going on to give you the best servers and the teams, regardless. And that's what some of the players were saying is like, oh, well, Cloud9's on the West Coast too, and they had good ping as well, so why would we even do it then? Regardless, you manipulated it, right? Just like Willy Wonka told Charlie, you broke the rules. You lost. Good day, sir. And that's kind of like black and white as it is, right? So I did chuckle that like his brother Royal 1 went scorched earth on 343. Did you see his tweets?
Yeah, I mean, they were brutal. These guys were like very much hot, very aggressive in their tweets.
They were coming in hot. So Royal 1 was tweeting out, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he is disgusted with 343, and it's crazy that we can live in a time where innocent men are put to, just first off, if he's been paying attention to the news, he would know it's actually the perfect time where innocent men get in trouble. But that's besides the point. He tagged Tashi, which is like head of esports for Halo. Tagged him in the post saying something along the lines of, I am disgusted with you. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his brother and him didn't have a text chain going on about what was actually going on there.
And then Royal 2 comes out and says, no, I did it and I forgot to take it off. Like, did no one touch base with him prior to this?
It wasn't for like the qualifier events that he had it on for an open event, yada, yada, yada. Either way, he had it on. That's caused a ton of issues, as you can imagine, not only affecting their team, Tim, but now affecting like other teams involved in this event. So like you were really mixing it up here right before Halo's major kickoff event.
Well, so first off, it was announced yesterday that he was banned, right? Last night at midnight was roster lock, and 343 was not giving them any sympathy. So credit to them. They definitely stick to the rules. They suspend your guy 12 hours before roster lock and says, hey, you got 12 hours to find a sub.
We were actually going to give y'all a little bit longer, but did you read all of your tweets about 3 hours ago?
Right.
F you guys. Find someone.
Yeah, maybe you would have had some. So again, I think this is huge. It sets a huge precedent in this scenario because Sentinels are a partnered team with the championship series. So I think it's huge. So yeah, as you said, so now not only do they have to find a sub, the players were also tweeting out though while they were, I guess, looking for a sub, is we might not just play regardless. Even if we have a sub, even if we find a sub, we still might not just do the Masters.
Dramatic.
First off, yeah, come on, bro. The first Masters, you think your org is going to be really thrilled with you if you decide not to play because one of your buddies got busted for cheating? Intentional or not, you got busted for cheating, right? You really, and I tweeted this out, if I was 343 and I had one of my partnered teams back out of the first event because they were upset that one of their dudes got caught for cheating, I would revoke their partnership so fast. I'd be I'll give it to a team that wants to play.
Let's go ahead and give it to 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Your skins are basically about the same. We'll just
Right.
change the
the logo and you're good to go. Yeah, for real. It's Sentinels, no knock on you. You're a bigger org now, but you're not you're not 100 Thieves. You're not one of these orgs that have a massive hardcore
9G2 fanatic. You're not them yet.
Right. Yeah, yes. Valorant has made a name for your org. Outside of that, you had Booga in the World Cup 10 years ago for Fortnite at this point. So I just, and again, I'm not blaming the org. The players were the ones doing the talking. The org, I don't think ever said anything official as last I checked.
The org was probably y'all were playing, just so you know.
Right, we're going to get a sub. If not, we're going to get 4 subs. How about that?
We will be attending the event. You might not be, but we will be.
We will be. So fast forward to today. Oh, and also because Royal 2 is suspended, they have to go through open brackets and everything because of points being lost.
They lose their number 1 seeding that they had going into the major, which is huge. And so they're now having to play through the open bracket.
Their weekend got a little busier.
A little bit.
Gotta play a little bit more matches. But I don't think it will be much of an issue. They'll probably be playing guys like us at the Philly Esports tournament. So probably fare okay, at least a little bit. So fast forward to today, Anuj, and they announced their sub. Well, they picked up none other than former Optic, former FaZe, and now former SSG, Formal, as their 4th for their Halo Infinite roster. On loan, right? Preface that he's on loan. But Formal has now signed with Sentinel, saying it was just an opportunity of a lifetime. How could he not do it? Well, Anuj, this is now his 4th. Count them. 4th Halo Infinite org that he's playing for.
I don't care about the number of orgs that he's been on, right? If he's trying to find a home, whatever. That's not the part that kind of gets under my skin a little bit with this move. It's the fact that you just left your SSG teammates hanging a couple hours before roster lock to go be on obviously a better team. Okay, that's not, we're not denying the move from hey, you have a better chance to win playing with these guys versus these guys, but at the end of the day,
integrity means something.
There's
integrity means something, I think, in the world. And if I was another team and I saw that, I guess sure, you're Formal, so maybe I would be looking past it. But I would like to think if I was in a situation, I'd be I don't know, guys. Should we pick up Formal as a 4th? He just left Space Station Gaming, like you said, hours. At least HCS gave Sentinels 12 hours heads up that they need to find a sub. Formal left SSG hours to figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, it leaves them high and dry. Now, they went and got Tusk, a player that they also dropped for Formal in kind of a, in kind of a way that irked a lot of people to see that happen. But they did bring Tusk back onto the team. I just it seems shady, at the very least. I would have hoped that they would have offered up someone like Shotzi or somebody that's on the bench that could maybe just step in and help that squad out. But they really left them high and dry and made them do the dirty work to go find a fourth for themselves. And Formal has been scrimming with SSG and just they seemed very much like a team, although Formal wasn't officially part of the team. And so to me, that was like the only thing that left a bad taste in my mouth with how this is all transpired. Like, I think Sentinels is going to be okay. Formal is a great talent, and they're going to do really well. The rest of that crew is stacked. But yeah, I mean, the way that this all went down seems super shady, and it's like you were willing to do anything regardless of how bad it f's somebody else over. And that's the stuff that you just don't like to see, although it makes it entertaining for us. Again, it's just leaves a bad taste in my mouth and seeing how that went down. So I will not be rooting for Sentinels in this event, Tim, if that's not been highlighted at this point. They will be the one team that I will truly root against for doing really well in this event, and kind of hoping for like a space station gaming research. It's like it's made different storylines for me because of everything that's happened.
Aren't you glad? Because you were on the fence about buying the Sentinel skin.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't support that. I just bought every other one.
Yeah, there you go. I will say this though, with everything we just said, I do think the punishment for Royal 2 is a tad harsh, being the fact that they are now in the post they were like, as a partner team they would get punished like harder, like they want to set an example. I almost feel like it should be the opposite. Like, yo, this is a partner team, you should probably be favoring them a little bit in that regards. Also, Royal 2, first time offender, no history of it. It seems innocent, like, hey, I was playing casual and I hated the servers I were getting, so I turned it on and I forgot to turn it off, right? Like,
it seems innocent, but there's also like very much so like a tactical play behind it that could have been very intentional.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're just in that I'm guessing type scenario, it could really be one end or the other.
Right.
It was a genuine mistake and he forgot to change it, or this was very strategic on his part, I think, to get the servers that he wanted.
I think what a fair punishment, first time offender in this situation, would have been, you're not going to get banned this time. However, we are going to take your points away and you have to go to open bracket. Like, you're going to pretty much start from where you are now. Like, you're resetting the button, you're at 0 points, and you have to play through open.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I'm kind of okay with it. I feel like,
I mean, again, it is just like a month ban. Like, it's not like he's out forever.
Yeah, like it's not like we've seen so much worse in esports.
They say ban, it's like, suspended, right? He's been suspended till January.
He's on a 1 month suspension, and I don't think that's the only thing that's unfortunate is the timing, because the majors.
It was
around
the night
corner.
before the roster lock.
Yeah, the major wasn't right there and the roster lock wasn't so close, it wouldn't seem as harsh. But I think a 1 month ban is fairly lenient for doing something that could be so disruptive. Again, I'm not saying what Royal 2 did was intentional or unintentional. I really don't know. But HCS doesn't know either.
Right.
And so they have to, I think, handle that with thinking the intentions were not right in this scenario. And that's probably the only way you can approach it. Because if you look at it on any other instance of some sort of scandal that happens, then you always got to look at the lighter end of it if you took that approach with Royal 2, right?
Well, and that's why I said, I think it's like,
really mean to download the hacks. They just happen to be on there, like.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I think that's why it's like they wanted to, they probably looked at it and said, guys, this is the first time we get to set, like, we're setting the bar at this point. What are we going to do? Royal 2, one of the biggest pros that we have on the biggest team, one of the biggest teams, a partner team. Do we go soft or do we hit them hard right before the event? Right? Like, we're not going to show favoritism. So, I mean, I can see it from both sides. At the end of the day, I don't think it was, you cheated.
Take out the timing 1 month. is a
not
fairly
bad.
light sentence.
Right.
It's not a bad
Right.
sentence. The
1
timing
month
is
off,
what makes
1
this...
month suspended from official events is not bad at all.
If anything, SSG is the team that got screwed the hardest now out of all of this.
Somehow they're hurt the most. So
yeah.
And it was good to see though, like Snipe Down, fellow Halo Pro, definitely did not have their back, right? Like Snipe Down even retweeted some of the nasty tweets that we were just talking about and saying like, poor timing because it was right before Royal 2 said, no, it was me, right?
Yeah.
So here's
I saw that. I was happy that he went at it with that approach. You can tell that there's no love lost in that relationship.
When you're Snipe Down, you can say whatever the hell you want when it comes to Halo. Like very few people can talk over Snipe Down when it comes to Halo. So like I definitely respect his opinion on this one. And like had he come in here and said like, you know what, Royal 2 should have been able to play, I think I would have been like, oh, okay, well maybe if Snipe Down's saying it. But the fact that Snipe Down's got 343s back on this one, I'm kind of leaning towards them now.
And so yeah, Snipe Down officially signed with FaZe today, so that was
did he?
all of this stuff is as bad as this looks for the league. This generates a different level of interest amongst fans, generates some tension between opposing fan groups. Like it's not the worst thing that could have happened, right? Like he wasn't using hacks per se, which would have been, I thought, a lot worse if he was caught with like some sort of aimbot or something like that, right? So
yeah,
this generated a lot of additional interest leading up to the event. Will unfortunately be part of the storyline for the event, but that's also not necessarily the worst thing. So I'm in a way like kind of enjoying some of the shit that's going on back and forth, and they're no different than any other scene, which is good to see.
Yep, I did just see that Snipe Down retired from Apex and moved officially to Halo, leaving TSM, joining FaZe.
It's like, is that a big surprise?
As a Snipe Down fan, I'm very upset that it's with FaZe, but as a Snipe Down fan, I'm very excited. So one step.
If you're listening, I got the FaZe skin. So
I'm one step closer. Cool. I might pick up the FaZe. I might, dare I say, FaZe up.
Well, let's not go that far.
I might FaZe up, Anuj. Don't tempt me. I might FaZe up. You know what? It is somewhat surprising in the sense of like Snipe Down on now. He's saying it. So, but he did say one time on like during the beta, like, no, I'm not going to quit Apex. I think I'm going to stick with Apex. Like, okay, bro. Okay.
This was like while he was under contract with TSM. So.
Right. Yeah, I know. That's like when he said that, I think everyone in the chat was like, really? Like you're like one of the top pros still in Halo and you're going to stick with Apex? Okay. Very exciting. Very exciting. So yeah, like I said though, I mean, hell, from a Halo standpoint though, you gotta love this drama going into your first week, right? You already got tons of storylines and pros cheating and partnered teams getting punished, and love to see it from a content creating point of view. You love to see it. All right, so there it is, some Halo talk, getting ready for Raleigh coming up next week. Let's anything else you wanted to talk about? You have CSGO on there, but was there anything you wanted to say about
it? No.
Or is that from last show?
That's probably from last show.
Okay. Little show news. So let me pull up a calendar here, Anuj. So this, as Anuj said earlier, this will be our last episode of 2021. As every year, we typically always take the last 2 weeks off just because holidays are in, we got family flying in and family flying out, and it's easier to say, why don't we just take a couple shows off and refuel. There's nothing going on in esports anyways, so we might miss a tournament here and there. So this is the last show of this year. Our first show of next year, correct me if I'm wrong, Anuj, we said is going to be January 3rd?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're hitting the year off early with January 3rd. January 3rd will be a big episode because it is our official 2022, or I guess 2021. 2021 esports tier list. So we did this last year, some point in time. It was in 2020. I know that. So we will rate the esports and what tier they belong in, all the way from F through S in that format. if all the big ones are there, we're going to add Valorant. If you have an esports that you want on the list, hit us up on Twitter or Discord. We'll add it to the list. We'll rate it. It is not based off of our liking of the game, but rather our feel for the current scene, the potential it has, and everything there.
I'm sure we'll throw some bias in there somehow.
I mean, this is a very unbiased show, so I don't think so. And then on the 10th, January 10th, will be what everyone loves, the Timmys. So our 2021 Timmy Awards. So again, if you have ideas for categories, nominees, things like that, let us know. But we will be doing our official, the industry's official Esports Awards, the Timmys, on January 3rd live. Mark your calendars. All right, so there's that. So that being said, hopefully everyone has a wonderful, safe holidays. Enjoy it, relax, be safe, and let's do some e-news.
Let's do some gaming during that time, guys.
Hell yeah, that is for sure. Look, we're not doing the show, but don't think we're just so busy we can't game.
We'll be on. I know we have a couple weeks off also from work, and
it's mainly we're too busy to pay attention to what's going on is the issue.
Yeah,
we're never too busy to game or get on. We're too busy to pay attention. So, family doesn't understand that we need to watch Counter-Strike during holiday dinners. So there's that. All right, let's get into some e-news. Let me scroll up here. In CSGO news, talked about a little bit Valorant with NA and how the scene's going. Anuj, I think this is officially the first Valorant pro to switch back to Counter-Strike as Nitro signs again with Team Liquid. So
yeah, I mean, if you're a Counter-Strike fan, more specifically an NA Counter-Strike fan, this is amazing news, right? Like, we needed a little something to revitalize the scene. It looks like NAF has also re-signed with Liquid, Elysia staying on Liquid, so we'll have a couple new faces to go along with those guys, but it's a welcome sight to have Nitro back. I mean, the NACS is dying. I mean, there's really no easy way to put it. I know people don't like to hear that and say, oh, it's just a lull period. Like, it really feels like it's dying a little bit. So to have Nitro come back into the scene, I think is huge for it.
Do you think he gets a new jersey or he just pulls out his old one?
Well, he is like Captain America, so he should be pulling out that Marvel jersey of his.
See, if I was Nitro, I would want the whole welcome package. Like, give me a new mouse, give me a new keyboard. I need a Liquid mouse pad.
With what they're paying him, he's going to be able to get whatever he wants.
I want the full thing. No, I think it bodes well for Counter-Strike in the sense of the fact that he left Valorant. Now, clearly, he just enjoys Counter-Strike more, right? He dipped his toes in. Now, only a guy like Nitro can you dip your toes in, instantly signing with like a top-tier team. Like that's his testing the waters is, hey, let me get instantly into the top-tier play.
He said he watched some Counter-Strike, and that was all it took. Is he watched one of the, I think, the Blast event or something. And yeah, he said, I was watching the event, and he goes, I just miss it. Like, it's just a better game for me. And,
and there's
no... I don't blame him, because we talked about it, too. We kind of feel the same way, just watching the two side by side.
Nothing wrong with it. Valorant is an amazing esport. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because we're...
So it's Counter-Strike.
Right, so it's Counter-Strike.
It's okay to like one more
You
than
can
the
like
other.
both, right? But yeah, it's like I'm watching Champs and I'm even saying like, this is not my game. This is not... I enjoy watching it, but I don't have the urge to pull up Valorant to play. I watch Counter-Strike and I'm like, let's go. Like,
it really is. That's how it is for us.
So,
for us, right? Like, it's important.
People are different. People are different. So Nitro, what I'm saying is we're just like Nitro.
Yeah, we're the same.
We're almost the same. Anuj, give me 30 seconds on, is it how do you say his name?
Monacy.
Okay, that's not what I was gonna say, so I'm glad I asked.
So he's from Navi's Academy team. He's one of the most hyped up tier 3 players that we've seen in a while. I say tier 3 because like Academy teams are more
notoriously like a tier 3 team playing against that type of competition. But really, really hyped up. I mean, an amazing offer. He would have had a chance on Na'Vi had something happened as simple like if he had retired or just swapped teams, like they would have bumped up m0NESY into that slot. And so this is a person that people have had their eyes on for a long time and want to see have that chance in tier 1. It is a huge step up in competition for him. I don't think it's going to be necessarily the dream transition that people are hoping for, but I think given time he can be pretty electrifying. So it's a player to watch. I think for G2, this is a fantastic pickup because I mentioned it, I think, last episode. You can't win without an AWPer in Counter-Strike today. Like, you just can't do it without elite level AWP play. I think G2 recognized that. Even with players like Nexa, Hunter, Nico, they knew they were still missing something, and that something was an AWPer. And I think similar to Astralis, it's easy to struggle in that department, even if you have all 4 other positions playing well. And so I think for G2, an exciting pickup. I think for m0NESY, it's an exciting opportunity and just a player to watch. I think temper expectations early. And I think by the end of the year, 2022, we should have a much better idea of the type of player he could be at the tier 1 level. But I do think it takes a little bit of time. Like, I think those first few months, could be challenging. And so I'm very much excited to watch him play. And I'm glad it's with, a team like G2 that really feels like they're a piece away. Because if he is that piece, I mean, that's just electrifying for the scene.
Exciting. And speaking of exciting, Vitality ended up defeating NIP 3-0 in the IEM Winter Finals just in time for their roster to get blown up.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that's so weird because we talked about both of these teams last week also. And for Vitality, it was a going away type situation. Shocks gets a championship on his way out, but that's exactly what it was. They were playing with house money, where I think NIP really needed this a little bit more. I really thought they should have, they needed to come away with the win. They got a good win against G2, but not the G2 that we all know, because obviously Kenny S was stepping in for that event for him. And then Vitality, like, again, a roster, as we just mentioned, is on its way out. You would have liked to see NIP come out with a W here, but they didn't, and they got smoked, Tim, 3-0. So not the way you want to head into the offseason, but they also did not have Device for the playoff matchups, I believe. I don't know if it was the whole playoffs or just the semis and the finals. Device was out, due to an illness, so they had to step in. So a little bit of a weird finals in general. One team exiting, another team without their quote unquote star players. So,
well, and for NIP, at least it's not the off season just yet because they have the Blast Premier World Finals to worry about, which starts tomorrow. It is the last big event of the year. So tune in.
I would have loved to talk about this event had we had one more show. I'm kind of sad that we've talked all this Blast throughout the whole year, and then the championship is coming up and we really don't get to talk about it. We'll probably throw it into E-News for that first episode, but guys, if you're listening, highly encourage you watching it. Blast does an amazing job with their events. This will be a big event.
Major
it is a big event, and so tune in, enjoy it, chat with us on Discord about it. It'll be fun. It'll be something fun to talk about. And a little sad that we're not getting a segment on this next episode.
Always happens this time of year. In Halo news, Quadrant signs a Halo roster, which will be competing this weekend. This is their first signings into esports. Quadrant, Anuj, for those who might not be aware, is actually Lando Norris's org. So F1 driver, his org.
That's pretty cool.
They've been involved with gaming and esports, but more or less on the content side. Now they have finally, they are an esports org, quote unquote.
It's like the traditional sports and esports over the last month has really hit each other head on.
You know what it is?
Combining the two.
I think it's all these rich athletes have figured out, like, oh, you mean I can just buy my way into this?
I can buy my way in this and be like a gamer, be involved in that gaming world,
I don't
which
have
a lot
to
of them
really
probably are anyway.
Like, okay, yeah, here's like $1 million. Go for it. We'll see where this goes.
With Halo, Tim, we didn't put this in e-news, but they also have some adjustments coming up to their playlist. So for those people that have been waiting for some changes and some additions, I know they're adding a handful of modes, free-for-all, SWAT, things like that that are coming out. So
SWAT's my jam. I think you'll like SWAT.
I don't know what SWAT is.
So SWAT is just like ranked, but no shields. So it's one-shot headshot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds a lot more up my alley.
Yeah, it's much. I mean, it's you're slaying out. It's a one-shot headshot. So
I like that.
It's
Are
good.
these live?
I don't know when the update was coming out. I don't know if they do like normal updates or anything. Games need to have, like, Blizzard does it right. It's like Tuesday is update day.
Snipe downstream, everybody's playing like a free for all right now, but it's like a bunch of pro players in it, so it's like
that might just be their thing.
I don't know
when the update comes out, but no.
Excited for that nonetheless. Keep an eye out. You got
SWAT
some more game modes coming, guys. So
Call of Duty fans, get excited because it's been leaked that the CDL skins will be coming to Vanguard soon. It might already be on there. I don't know. I didn't see an update, but eventually you should be getting CDL skins. So, a couple months into the game's lifespan, not a big deal.
I installed Warzone, Tim, thinking that my friends would want to play the new map. Not one person's willing to download it because it was a 200 gig download. So
I thought you could just download Warzone. You
can. It's a 200 gig download on PC. My God. So I think I'll be uninstalling here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, you already got me to do Fortnite. I am not doing Warzone. I can't.
That was a big ask for me. I should have recognized that when I was like, "Hey Tim, download Fortnite," and then a day later, "Hey Tim, download Warzone." Like I pushed that too far with you, and I apologize. I recognize that now. Let's just stick with Fortnite for a little bit. And
which one has the Spider-Man skin? Right. That's
exactly.
That's what I need to know. In other Call of Duty news, it looks like we may finally have a buyer for the 12th CDL spot. It's going to the Craft Sports Group, so all signs are pointing to Boston. It's going to be a Boston team. So
that would be great. I'm glad they're able to still get like big time investors right now, because I feel like people are a little scared of CDL at the moment for right reasons.
Dude, all right. Robert Kraft isn't going to be some P afraid of a little sexual assault, all right? Robert Kraft knows a thing or two about sexual assault.
He's like, Blizzard's got an opening. Right. Let me apply.
I fit right in. Blizzard's inviting him on the board right now. You want to get in here in the next meeting? Come on, man. We got to get you in right now, right before like all the union votes and everything. Let's get you in right now. Today's your first day on the board. Congratulations. So, no, you know what? Hey, 12 spot purchase. That's always good. You don't want an empty spot looming in. And I'm sure this is why, and I don't know, but it makes sense when you say it out loud, why we haven't seen a lot of news about CDL. Because they didn't want to like promote anything without having a 12th team there. It would look embarrassing. So
it still looks embarrassing, so it's all right.
Hopefully we have a little bit more news coming out. In FGC news, we had the Smash Summit 12 wrap up yesterday in the grand finals. IBDW finally overcame the hurdles and defeated Mango in the finals, sweeping him nonetheless. Gets a shout out from Amaranth. So, which is like the queen of all titty streamers, if you didn't know. So
that's exciting.
Hey, good for you.
I had no idea who that was when you put that on there. I thought it was like a Melee guy.
No, it was like so out of left field. Like all of a sudden she like tweets at his tweet saying like congratulations, and everyone's like, what? Like, how? What? So maybe she's a huge Smash fan, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we'll get her on the show. In Mango, in the same event, Mango ended up sweeping Leffen in losers. Also, side note here, Wizrobe has the most intense gaming face of all time.
Not even close. Like, there's not even a close second. It's so intense and slightly uncomfortable that I'm like, I would love to have him on to ask him about it, because it like, I couldn't stop watching him during the match.
His
he was
jaw,
like so into it.
Like, he has to be so wound up after a match. He has to have like a massage or something. Like a masseuse has to be in-house.
I feel like everything on the facial features is like so tight.
I'll have to tweet out the video because I clipped it. I mean, it is just intense is the only way I can describe it. Rocket League is finally back on LAN. They had one of their first big LAN events since COVID and the pandemic. BDS defeated NRG in 2 straight sets at the RLCS Fall Split Major. So for Rocket League fans, it was good to see everyone coming together again, right? Still feel like we got gypped out because we were supposed to have, I forget what event was supposed to go, but we were going. We had passes for the Rocket League event that was happening here at the Star in Frisco, and then they got rid of it, and still waiting on it. Where's this and Riot, right? We were supposed to have all these events. Big news, Anuj. DreamHack has announced it. We talked about it earlier, but they are back in full swing. They have announced in one night, just dropped everything. Dropped all the news. So DreamHack Dallas is coming back. It is the first weekend of June. Yes, we have purchased our BYOC tickets. If you are going, hit us up. We can sit next to each other. We can play some games. We can watch some games because IEM will also be there. So they are having a big ass Counter-Strike tournament. Top teams. It will be awesome.
I'm already excited for the episode leading up to DreamHack.
Oh,
the Survivor guide.
We already had people asking questions in Discord like, "Oh, what about the security?" And I'm like, "Oh, I am so ready to do a survival guide for DreamHack."
Yeah.
It's not.
It's obviously too early right now, but I'm so ready for it. So
June.
If you can't tell, we're excited. We'll be there. Hope to see you there, and we'll talk more about that.
I was questioning life, and this just brought me right back to it.
Yeah.
So I'm so
I should
excited.
tell my wife, actually. I haven't even mentioned it to her. I told her that it's back. I didn't tell her that we already bought tickets and we're going regardless of the busiest month of the year for us.
Right. It's a celebration. No, look. It's also my birthday month. It's your birthday month. We're celebrating our birthdays.
Yeah.
It is the one time, especially now that we're all gamer dads in our group pretty much.
We need this.
It's more like some of our friends who normally go aren't going this year, and I'm like, bro, after 2 years of not having it, I need this.
I need this.
More than anything.
Even if it was just you and me.
I know, for real. For real.
We're going.
Just give me a weekend of game. Anuj, if you could help me out here, but India's Harnaz Sandhu.
Sandhu has won Miss America,
Universe.
or Miss Universe for the first time.
I don't think someone from India would win Miss America.
Well, you never know. We're all part of one.
It's a melting pot, right?
Yeah. I mean, exciting, sure.
Do you know her? Could you introduce us?
I don't personally, but I dated her sister back in high school, so there's some connection there. No, I mean, hey, it's no shock. We're obviously the sex. I mean, people look at me and they think sex appeal, and so it's no shock that we're taking home that kind of title. It's just name a better duo, Indians and sex appeal, and that's just what it is.
It's true. In fact, I saw her on TV, and like for a minute I had to double take because I was like, is that Anuj? Like I was like, they have to be related. It looks just like them.
You didn't bring me on this show for my esports knowledge,
no,
Tim.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, it's
There's a reason we went up from 0 to 1% in female demographic on this show once I joined.
Very true. Very true. In other news here, Hex announced that he's launching his own NFT. So,
no, it's a great way to take money from the kids. I think it's awesome.
Because he's not doing that already. Look, I've always said, if at first you attempt to be successful in esports and fail, always just make an NFT. That's pretty much the trend that I'm seeing. So
I just don't like it because these all feel like cash grabs to me, but I also don't know it
1,000%
shit ton about them, but they all feel like cash grabs to me.
I guess NFT, from what I understand with NFTs, it's not going to be something we know until like another 5-10 years down the road. But it truly, like, I mean, half these artists that I'm seeing looks like they don't know anything about art. Like you have people like painting the Mona Lisa, not getting any attention. This kid makes one monkey that looks the same minus a few color different in the background, and he's selling them for millions of dollars. I don't get it.
They're overvalued, overhyped. They have a useful side to it, but that's not why the value is driven from right now. People are just on this hype train.
Right, and everyone's making them. Look, maybe we should have our own NFT.
All for, people are making crazy money on them. So all for you if you were able to get in and capitalize on it. But I think if you're a long-term holder of some of these, good luck. I pray for you.
This is just a thing that I feel like the rich is doing to get richer. And then like us or the kids who are like, I need to have this Hex NFT. is getting it thinking that they'll just become best friends with them because they bought it.
Yeah.
And then they'll just hold on to it forever.
I agree.
So, but then again, maybe we're just idiots and don't know what we're talking about. I'm sure someone will get into my DMs tonight and be like, "No, Tim, look, man, I know NFTs, man. You gotta check out this NFT. You just gotta check it out." I saw on LinkedIn when I was looking at profiles the other day, someone said they were an NFT strategist. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I collect Pokemon cards. Does that mean I can put that on my resume now? Because they hold about the same value.
On LinkedIn, you can put whatever you want, buddy.
This is true. And last but not least, Ninja, remember him? Will be voice acting. He is joining into his voice acting career as he voices a character in the new Hotel Transylvania movie.
That's pretty cool.
It's neat.
Ninja's got a good personality for this type of stuff. So he also did that like a surprise voice thing. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Oh, Masked Singer?
The masked voice singer.
You know what's funny? So that brings me up too, is my wife watches this show on Netflix called Selling Sunset. It's trash TV, but it's entertaining enough to where I can manage it with her. Well, it's like these realtors that are in LA and they're selling stuff, and obviously drama pursues and all that. But they went to go sell this house, and they were like, "Oh, this is some gamer's house." Lo and behold, they step into his office. 99% sure it was FaZe Banks' house, because they had the FaZe wallpaper, the FaZe like bear thingies on there. It was someone from FaZe. And like I just instantly perked
I never
up.
said who it was though.
No, I'm assuming confidentiality. Like it's so I mean it can't be Banks' house, because if Banks had an opportunity to show himself, he would have done it.
100%. He would have been like, "Oh no, don't worry about it. I'll be on the show with you."
I'll show up there. Don't worry about it. But it was definitely someone in FaZe's house that they were selling. I was like,
pretty cool.
Small world. They're doing well for themselves there, as far as I can tell from the house. Doing pretty well there at FaZe Clan. So congratulations. So there you have it. That's it. That's all of E-News. That is the episode. It was a big one. Thank you for Ben from Juked for coming on the show. Always a pleasure having him. Everyone go to juke.gg. Sign up for the alpha for the app. If you have iPhone, you could get into it now. If you have Android, hang on, but you'll get an invite regardless. So do that. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for listening. It was a long episode, but again, this is the last episode of the year. So you have like 2 weeks to listen to this episode. So
yeah, and everybody have like just a blessed holidays coming up here, man.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy year for a lot of people. Hopefully it's been good for you. If it hasn't, hopefully these next 2 weeks are a nice time to get a little R&R and you know, just rejuvenate for 2022. But appreciate all of you guys taking the time to tune in throughout the year, you know, keeping us level-headed, passing us positive remarks. We really appreciate that. Any of the people that engage with us, like, thank you so much. And we look forward to another fun 2022 with maybe a little bit more normalcy than we've had these past few years. But hey, it's been a hell of a year, and we really appreciate all of you guys. So thank you all so much for tuning in as always.
absolutely. So we'll see you guys next year, January 3rd, first show, Esports tier list, January 10th, the Timmies. You don't want to miss it for sure. So until next time, for Anuj, I'm Tim. Love you. We'll see you next year. Bye.